What I want to do for this session is look at 4 big issues. This is kind of the safety session. This is the session that is going to stop bad things happening in your world, and whereas, say, Alex's session towards the end is going to look at how to make good things happen. It's going to look at how to run projects really well. So, the stats on technology projects are not good. Maybe the reason that so much stuff fails is because the stats on tech projects are bad. McKinsey, one of the world's big consulting firms, and Oxford Uni got together and did some numbers. 17% of them were so bad, they threatened the viability of the business. You spent 15 million bucks on a system and your project actually went so badly it threatened the existence of the company. On average, large IT projects run 45% over budget and 7% over time, while delivering 56% less than the value predicted. Could you imagine if that was true of the building industry, of frankly any other industry? So there's some bad things that can happen. IBM, they looked at 1,500 change management executives, only 40% of projects met the targets. But the best organisations were 10 times more successful than the worst. And so that's why this stuff's important, because the variance is massive. It's actually possible to do this well. I want to give you some examples from smaller projects because they were big ones. There's a lady that I was talking to, I've known her now for probably 12 months, but I was talking to her as late as a couple of weeks ago. She went and she runs a successful business to be about the same size as Alliance Software, about 20 to 30 staff, and went and had some software developed with a firm, and we came in initially to quote on a separate project, and we got talking about this earlier project, and I ended up giving her a bit of consulting around unwinding some of the mess. But this is what had happened. She had gone in and built software with a firm and effectively had no formal agreements other than to say we're going to pay this much money. And so we'll talk about intellectual property in a moment, but what ended up happening was that this firm took the view that they owned the intellectual property in the project, and it got worse. They took the view. The key developer who was working on their project, they'd built up a very specific way of doing certain things. The actual nature of the project, any software development could have done, but they built up a certain way of doing it. The key developer left. They then got them, and they trialled a number of other developers and couldn't get it back in. And she eventually got to the position where this software runs her business. I mean, all of her paying customers use the app and the website to give her the data that she needs to run her business. This firm will not release the IP, have lost interest in the project. They've tried to, they can't get the actual software worked on anymore. And so she is hoping and praying that the App Store doesn't block her app because it becomes obsolete. The App Store is now starting to block apps that are no longer, that they deem to be old and obsolete and not updated. She doesn't own the IP. The firm won't work on it anymore. We can't get the IP out. It runs her business. She spent $250,000 to get it in the first place. It's pretty ugly. And all of that could have been avoided with what I'm going to tell you now, and half an hour's worth of very basic negotiations. So this is the safety session. That's what it's for. So we're going to talk about intellectual property, quality and testing, security, scalability, and they're our big 4 that we want to make sure that we cover off on.